Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Oh yeah, look at my life, hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road. Oh yeah, look at my life, hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road.
Hey now! Hi friends, welcome to Scott Fox After 9. Today's episode is coming out a little bit earlier. This week, my schedule is very off. I have a number of funerals to attend this week. That's right, more than one. So I'm putting them out when I can. Yesterday, I want to thank everybody who checked into yesterday's episode. It was a return. Tried to cover a couple of things that I didn't want to get buried in the news cycle. Now I'm going to start to progress on, though. And there's a few things here that I think you should hear. I'm going to get to Pierre Poilievre coming up in a minute because he proposed something yesterday that, frankly, I think deserves way more attention than it's currently getting. But I got a lot of notes from people yesterday. Scott, I can't believe you didn't talk about Carney and what's going on over at the G7 in Europe. Believe me, I agree with you. There's some bananas stuff that is happening with Mark Carney on this trip to Europe. I get it. I'm going to do all the Carney stuff, I think, in the next episode. And I'm going to do like a 100% Mark Carney episode. That'll be interesting. I'm going to try and get you caught up on all the weird things that he's been saying. But I'll give you a little preview of what I'm going to be talking about on the Carney episode. Here is the Prime Minister speaking in Paris.
A few weeks ago at the European political community in Yerevan, I was honored to attend. And I said at that meeting that I believe that the next world order will likely be built out of Europe, and Canada will be part of that effort. In security, as the first non-European member to join SAFE, as the President mentioned, under his leadership, Canada is a key member of the coalition of willing to support Ukraine. In critical minerals, working with Minister Lescure, as a reliable supplier to our core European partners, working with our European partners to expand our collective strategic capabilities from energy to hardware, intelligence infrastructure, and space. Working together, Canada, France, and Europe are poised to be a powerful force for good in the century ahead.
What the hell is he talking about? Are we doing a deal with the Americans or not? And what is this new world order being founded in Europe and Canada being part of it? What does that mean? Let's hear that again.
A few weeks ago at the European political community in Yerevan, I was honored to attend, and I said at that meeting that I believe that the next world order will likely be built out of Europe, and Canada will be part of that effort.
What does that mean? What is he talking about? What is he planning now? You know, while he's pretending, I'm going to make everything great here at home. He's committing us to Europe. And by the time Canadians wake up to this, it's going to be too late to stop it. Can I put that out there? Is that reasonable? Based on what you just heard, can you agree? It certainly sounds like he wants to take us closer to Europe. We didn't even there was no vote on this. We didn't have a referendum. What's going on? What is he signing us up for? By the way, another interesting thing that Carney said, it seems now that he's trying to walk back what we all heard from his Davos speech. Listen to the Prime Minister. This again was him talking in France.
To be clear, and if you look at the speech, I've never advocated that all of a sudden there was going to be a band of middle powers, the M20 or something like that.
Wait, what? Isn't that exactly what the point of the Davos speech was? Getting middle powers to band together so they've got more collective clout when dealing with the Americans and the Chinese? That was the whole point of the Davos speech.
The point that I made, and I think you do see this concretizing, if I can invent that verb. Hopefully it's a verb. You can double check that, David. You see it concretizing in our bilateral relations between Canada and France and relations with Europe. So just to recap one element of Davos, which is we talk in terms of variable geometry. So different partnerships with different groups of countries for different issues. Sometimes it's for outcomes, like the Coalition of the Willing, peace in Ukraine, sustainable peace in Ukraine. Often it is in bilateral relations, building up what we call strategic capabilities. So in areas, the obvious ones are in energy, in food, defense, but it also extends into artificial intelligence, in the future quantum, space technologies, certain elements of defense technologies. And so a lot of what we've been doing over the course of the last year with France and others, but very much with France, has been deepening those relationships.
He really tailors the message to the people he's speaking to, and it's like he's not aware that the rest of the world and our whole country can hear it. I truly don't know what to make of that. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to do a whole Mark Carney episode. It is likely going to be the next one that comes out, and I'll get you caught up on some of the wild things that he's been saying since I last covered Mark Carney in the pod. But that isn't actually the point of today's episode. Today, I'm going to do something that our mainstream media has done a miserably poor job at doing. Covering a big announcement from the Conservatives. But that's par for the course, right? We all know the gaslighting that goes on from the mainstream media. I think what I'm about to play for you is something we should all be talking about because it's a common sense proposal and it would save all of us money. It would. But the media, they don't want to talk about a good, solid, common sense idea from Pierre Poilievre. All they want to do is try and force another leadership review and try and question his leadership of the party. Constantly trying to undermine him. It's bananas. Let's listen to what Pierre Poilievre had to say.
Since the Liberals took office in 2019, the cost of a used vehicle has doubled. Since 2019, that's now, we're talking 6-7 years ago. There's been a doubling of the price of a used vehicle from $18,900 to $36,700 in March. Another example of Liberal inflation. In fact, the surging prices went so high that Statistics Canada had to create a separate item to track in 2022 before they just used the new vehicles as a proxy. Almost every Canadian needs a truck or a car. And most people of modest means rely on used vehicles to save some money. Yet the government imposes double, triple, and sometimes even quadruple taxes on the same vehicle. When someone buys a car new, they pay the tax. When it's resold as used, the new buyer pays the tax again. If it gets sold a third time, that tax is paid. It could be 5 times in a row of federal sales taxes on the same vehicle. The endlessly repeating tax on used cars is a tax on the working poor, on low-income seniors, and on small businesses. That is government greed, and greedy government makes for poorer people. Conservatives are fighting to restore affordability here at home, and that's why Conservatives are announcing MP Andrew Lawton's bill to scrap the sales tax on used cars altogether. The principle is that the GST should only apply once at the final sale and never again. Scrapping the tax on used cars will save you $1,835 on the average used vehicle. Or take this beautiful truck behind me. You would save $3,800 on this used vehicle if you purchased it with the Conservative tax cut. We will also urge provinces to eliminate their share of the HST on vehicles that have already been sold. All this builds on our existing plan to save our auto industry by ending sales tax on Canadian-made automobiles, and it follows our Conservative plan for a dollar-for-dollar principle so that this tax cut will not increase the deficit. We would match it by eliminating the Alto bill, the $90 billion taxpayer-funded Liberal Alto boondoggle.
Okay, that was a lot from Pierre Poilievre, but let's talk about that. Number one, that is a long-standing Conservative policy. They've been saying that for a long time. We spend a lot of money subsidizing the auto industry. How about that? How about if a Canadian buys a Canadian-made car, there's no tax on it? Doesn't that make sense? That's a great incentive for Canadians to want to get behind Canada's auto industry. I think that's great. But let's talk about used cars. When you buy the car, brand new, when you walk into the dealership, they're going to charge you sales tax when you buy the car. Why is it that if somebody else buys that car used, they pay the tax on it again? And if somebody buys it a third time, this is a used car that's being sold again, they charge the tax on it again. Why? That's not fair. That's not right. That's not just. That's just gouging people, especially at a time when there's more people looking for used cars because they're broke. The government is making out like bandits on this. How many times can you tax the same car? An infinite amount of times. Every time it sells, there's tax. Now, Pierre Poilievre, he can't speak for the provinces, but I'd like to hear what the premiers think about that, because the provinces, they're making huge money on the exact same thing. Let me give you an example. I bought a used car for my daughter many years ago. First car, I bought her a used one. Turns out that car had been imported from an auto auction in Nova Scotia. I had to pay to register the car in Ontario. I had to pay to register it here, then I had to pay the tax on it. Why? Did we get rid of that interprovincial trade barrier? If someone takes a car from Ontario out to Alberta, do they have to pay again when they get to the new province and try and register the vehicle? We have to talk about these things because we're being ripped off. Anybody, plain as day, can see that is robbery. Hey, the government wants sales tax. I guess they're entitled to it. If you buy a television, they're going to charge you tax on it. You don't keep paying tax on it. Why do we with vehicles? Pierre Poilievre realizes that's a problem, and he's going to eliminate it. And here's something incredibly refreshing. He also told you how he's going to pay for it. Nope. Losing that tax revenue is not going to increase the deficit because he's going to cancel the Alto high-speed rail. Okay. Dollar saved, dollar earned. That's what we're doing here in Canada right now. Saving money on Alto, and that allows us to cut taxes on other things. That's what we want from our government, right? We all agree taxes have to go down. They have to. I think interest rates need to go down too, or not much good stuff is going to happen here in Canada, not while the middle class is broke. That's an easy way to try and put more money back in people's pockets. Let's get to a little bit of the Q&A with Pierre Poilievre.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre, JP Tasker, CBC News. The Prime Minister says Canada and the U.S. have made some progress on trade issues ahead of the CUSMA review. What's your assessment of how things are going?
Well, we want a tariff-free access to the biggest market in the world, and we believe the best way to do it is for the Prime Minister to bundle up all of Canada's leverage using, for example, the prospect of a strategic mineral reserve and increased oil exports as leverage. And then in exchange for allowing the Americans to have access to buy those things, that we would seek an end to tariffs on aluminum, steel, lumber, autos, and everything else. And we would encourage the parties to get to the table and get a deal as quickly as possible because there's very real damage being done on both sides of the border.
Where do things stand with the Americans? Why can't we have a clear answer? We are now just over 2 weeks away from Canada Day. We need to know what's going on. Is CUSMA still in effect? Do we still have a trade deal? Is a new trade deal being worked out? Are the Americans going to do a bilateral deal with the Mexicans and then a bilateral deal with us, and then we have to do a bilateral deal with them? Or can we make all of North America work here? You heard Mark Carney earlier promising to take us closer to Europe. Is that a sign that negotiations are not going well with the Americans? That's a fair comment there from Pierre Poilievre. We need to get a deal done with the Americans. And at the absolute least, if we're not doing a deal, Canadians deserve to hear why and what the issue is.
You might have seen that Justin Trudeau attended the first USA FIFA World Cup game on Friday. His girlfriend, Katy Perry, was performing. Of course, there was another FIFA game that day. Canada had its first game as well. What do you make of his decision to be stateside that day?
I don't really have anything. I try not to think about Mr. Trudeau any more than I have to, like most Canadians. Yeah, well said. Justin Trudeau just won't go away. You know, it's customary that when you're the outgoing leader
and there's a new person replacing you, you're still in government, but you're gone, that you will just sort of fade into the background and be quiet. Justin Trudeau did the opposite of that. He started dating one of the biggest pop stars on the planet, and they parade around like they're Taylor and Travis. He's everywhere. He won't go away.
Good afternoon, Mr. Poilievre. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News. You touched on food insecurity today. The Prime Minister released his government's food security strategy this week. Will you support any measures that may help lower the cost of food for Canadians?
Of course we will. We always have. But the problem is Mark Carney is raising the cost of food. And I would ask you, how many times has this Liberal government made affordable food announcements? Have you kept track? I mean, it's incredible. Every day, every couple of months, a Liberal minister goes out and promises affordable food. And what happens the next month? Food prices rise even more. The current finance minister, François-Philippe Champagne, said in 2023 that he was going to deliver affordable groceries by Thanksgiving. And now the same Liberal politicians go in front of all of you in the media and make exactly the same promises, and it gets reported uncritically without any counterpoint whatsoever. Obviously, after over a decade of Liberal inflationary spending and taxes, Canadians cannot afford to eat. We need to get rid of the Liberal industrial carbon tax on farm equipment, fertilizer, food processors, and the delivery of food. We need to get rid of the packaging regulations that don't protect health or the environment but drive up the cost of packaging our food. And we need to stop the inflationary Liberal money printing that makes everything more expensive. Mark Carney's latest multi-billion-dollar spending announcement will actually increase the cost of food again, just like every Liberal grocery announcement has done over the last decade. With Mark Carney, it's more cost, more expensive groceries, more of the same. He's just another Liberal.
Is there another way to see it? Really? Truthfully. I mean, how many times have liberal ministers and the Prime Minister, how many times have they come out and said, we're going to do this, and the price at the grocery store will go down? I mean, I don't know if they did or didn't do those things, but the price hasn't gone down. The Prime Minister said, judge me by the price at the grocery store, and things are not going very well. When they're charging $17 for a watermelon, when they're charging $12.50 for a pound of medium ground beef, things are not going well. How many times does the government get a pass? They come out, they make the announcement, the news reports the best parts of the announcement. They're not critical in any way. They don't point out past failures and ask why this will be different. They don't hold them to account. They just give them all the free publicity. Here's what the government is doing to help you. And when it fails, there's no reporting on that. They won't acknowledge it. They won't challenge the government on it. That's part of the gaslighting that the media does.
The Prime Minister is in Ireland today ahead of the G7. Your office criticized his visit to Ireland because Canada already has a relationship with Ireland and already does trade with Ireland. Is there value, though, in spending time in that country ahead of their taking over of the EU presidency at a time when, the Prime Minister and his government say they want to bolster the relationship with Europe?
Well, of course, we're not criticizing him for going to Ireland. I hope he has a wonderful journey to his ancestral homeland. It is partly my ancestral homeland as well. I've got Irish roots, so I hope that he has a good visit. But here's the reality. He's not bringing home any results. And that's the real conservative criticism here. We want results here at home. He's been jetting around the world without negotiating a single new free trade agreement with any country anywhere on planet Earth, and instead has delivered the only recession in the G7. We already have a free trade agreement with Europe, which includes Ireland. Why can't we get our goods to Europe? It's not because the Europeans are shutting us out. It's because the Liberal government is shutting us in with anti-development laws. If he really wants to export more to Europe, he should get here now, repeal all the anti-development laws, and rapidly permit new pipelines, mines, LNG plants to ship our goods off the East Coast over the Atlantic so that we can reach energy-hungry European markets.
That's what it comes down to, right? I think we can all acknowledge that. The Prime Minister is full of platitudes. He goes out and talks a big game, gives a nice speech. But at the end of the day, you can't believe a word of it until pipelines start getting built, until LNG plants have shovels in the ground, until we actually unlock our resources. Repeal the tanker ban. That's an easy one. He could do that with a stroke of a pen. Why aren't these things done? It's been over a year. He keeps saying he wants to do these things. But the first step is to repeal all of those anti-development laws from Justin Trudeau. Carney could do it. He's got the power to do it. Cabinet could approve it. Why isn't he doing it? Again, he's over there talking a big game about how great it's eventually going to be. We need results now. Ideally, Canadians would like to see shovels in the ground. It's been a year. There should be shovels in the ground and scaffolding up everywhere. It doesn't appear that that's what's happening. Why haven't we taken away the laws that prevent us from getting our product out to market? It's because of environmental ideology. If you're wondering, what really is it? It's because of environmental ideology. There's a lot of money riding on the Green New Deal, and Carney and his banker friends are not ready to let it go. Trump said goodbye to it in America. The rest of the world, they want to hang on to that dream because it's going to make them extremely wealthy. I thought that was a good press conference from Pierre Poilievre, speaking at a very person-to-person level there, talking about failures from the media and from the government and offering a solution, another way forward, a way to put more money back in people's pockets. God, it's incredible that that's not job one. I'm shocked that it's not. And I'm not shocked, but the media should be reporting on that. We should be having a national conversation about sales tax since the leader of the opposition brought it up. The media doesn't want to go there because they know the vast majority of Canadians will agree with it, and it makes Pierre Poilievre popular. And they can't do anything that'll make him popular and the Prime Minister unpopular.
This message is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hey, I'm Will. I started IQ Bar because I couldn't find a protein bar that wasn't loaded with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients, so I decided to make my own. IQ Bars are ultra-low sugar, packed with protein, fiber, and brain-boosting nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and they got 0 weird ingredients. And if you've been meaning to try them, now is a great time because right now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping when you visit iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. Whether you're at your desk, on the road, or mid-workout, IQ Bar has functional, clean, and delicious options for every occasion.
Now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping when you visit iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. To get 20% off plus free shipping, go to iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. That's iqbar.com, promo code BAR20.
Something else I want to cover before I wrap up this episode, and it is going to be another shorter one. I have a funeral to attend today, and I'm not looking forward to it. The other day, the U.S. ambassador to Canada was appearing at the Canada-U.S. summit, and I want to play a little bit for you of what Pete Hoekstra had to say. How do the Americans really feel? Keep in mind, America's ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, he speaks on behalf of Donald Trump in Canada. If Trump wants to get a message to the Prime Minister, he'll do it directly or it'll go through the ambassador. Here's the guy who is probably, I'd say, in the top 5 best informed on the situation between the U.S. and Canada right now.
The president's a business guy. And so when he talks about this, it's kind of like, and I saw Doug Ford last night and we had a great talk, and it's kind of like, we don't need cars from Ontario. And Canadians say, how can you say that? It's kind of like, well, because we can get them from Japan, we can get them from Mexico, we can get them from South Korea. But if Canada puts on their sales hat, they can make a very, very compelling case that if America needs a single car coming in to the United States from somewhere else in the world, the best place to get that car from is Canada. similar labor forces, similar standards, working standards, environmental standards, pay scales, and all of these types of things in a thoroughly integrated ecosystem. Pete, if you need a car, don't look to Mexico, don't look to Korea, don't look to Japan, look to Ontario. It's kind of like, oh, that's a pretty good argument. Same thing on oil. We got the pipelines, we got the infrastructure. If you need more oil, the best place to get it from is Alberta. That's a pretty compelling case. So you can go right through the list. So I think Canada should optimistically look at this, and for all of the resources that you have and the capabilities that you have and the talent that you have, go into these negotiations very aggressively and say, we know America has needs across the board, and we're here to partner with America and fill those needs because we are the best place for America to fill these needs. I think, you maybe don't like the way the president says it, but take it in the tone of what he's saying is, we're open to offers. Make your case. I think every time we've met with the Canadian government, the president has always kind of closed the meetings off or consistently said through the meetings, make us an offer.
Wow. Take a second and process that, and then think about how different that is from the story we're being told from the news. That was the U.S. ambassador to Canada laying it out. He put a blueprint on the table to get a deal done with us. Make yourselves invaluable. It's like if you're applying for a job. The best way to apply for a job is to make the employer wonder, how could we do it without them? It's also a good way to keep a job. Make us an offer, is what the ambassador said. Have we done that? Where are we at with this? It sounds to me like the Americans are actually disappointed that we're being so obstructionist, so crazy, getting in our own way, trying to prevent a deal. They want a deal. You could hear that from the ambassador. They're not opposed to making cars in Canada that go to the United States. They're not opposed at all. Pierre Poilievre has already laid out a whole plan for how this could be done tariff-free. We could save money. And if we happen to want to buy one of the cars that was made in Canada, we don't even pay tax on it. That's what's on the table here. A fully integrated North American auto system, but we have to go and make the U.S. an offer. We're not trying to. You heard at the beginning of the episode, Mark Carney wants to take us to Europe. Here's a little bit more of the ambassador.
But we did things that we believe we needed to do to make America strong and secure. And we believe that a strong and secure America brings more stability and security to the rest of the world.
That was the ambassador explaining why they went with tariffs in the first place. It was better to make their nation stronger. Hey, listen, I would love to think that we're going to think about how our neighbors might feel before we make decisions here in Canada. But at the end of the day, we got to be Canada first. They're doing America first. We got a little screwed because we weren't prepared. We got a little screwed because we were too reliant. I get that we need to diversify, but we also need to fix the deal with the Americans. There's so many little irritants out there. We keep getting in our own way. You know what a great example is? The F-35 fighter jet. Again, brief history on this. We ordered them under Stephen Harper. Justin Trudeau got elected partially because he promised to cancel the order. Then Trudeau realized, Harper was right, so he bought them again. But we had to pay a penalty to get out of the deal in the first place, and then we had to pay more for the jets because we waited. Now Mark Carney needs to decide, are we going ahead with this deal or not? Because if we're not, the Americans are going to be pissed. They're hoping Canadians will rally behind them. We don't need those American fighter jets. We'll partner with our friends in Sweden and get their Gripen jet. Well, how about that F-35?
The F-35 is not an American plane. The F-35 is what? It is an international consortium building the most advanced fighter jet in the world. We built, I think we built something like, not quite, we've either built 1,000 and we got another 1,000 on order, we built 2,000. Canada has built a lot of the parts for that. You've made billions of dollars. You were part of the initial design.
Is that commonly known, that Canada has made billions from the F-35? Because we're partners on it. We build parts for it. We would actually be kicking ourselves in the butt if we didn't go through with that purchase. It is so frustrating to know what the answer is, but to have to wait for everybody else to come to the conclusion that, yeah, that's probably the way we should go. I feel like we're getting closer. Eventually, we're going to get a deal done with the Americans. What that deal looks like, though, I don't know. I think that for about a year now, the government has been relying on pure patriotism. Oh, it's us against them, and if you're on our team, you got to get behind the Liberals. By and large, I think most people are starting to agree, this is stupid, this is overblown, let's figure it out. Like the ambassador said, make us an offer.
Since day one of the Trump administration, the president has worked to deliver prosperity, security, and safety to the American people. That's what he campaigned on. That's what he's done. He's done it in Trump time.
Go ahead and be angry at Donald Trump if you want. There's a lot of reason to not like the guy. I totally understand that. But at the end of the day, there's a deal to be done here. We just got to find a way to get it done. The prime minister swore he was the guy to deal with Trump. Okay, Kuzma's done 2 weeks from tomorrow. Friends, have yourselves a great day. Wonky schedule this week, but I think by Thursday, I should be back into a fairly good routine. Friday, I will be doing listener DMs. Next episode, I'm going to cover some of the wild things the Prime Minister has been saying again and a little more in-depth. Have yourselves a great one. I'll catch you back here in... we'll leave it at soon. How about that? Take care.
Oh, yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh, yeah, look at my life out here on the road. Oh, yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh, yeah, look at my life out here on the road.
You can never have too many tools. Shop DeWalt deals at Lowe's. Get a free Select DeWalt 20-volt max power tool when you buy a Select 20-volt max 5-amp-hour battery kit. Plus, get a free additional DeWalt 20-volt max 8-amp-hour battery when you buy a DeWalt 10-inch 20-volt max dual-bevel compounded miter saw. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 6/24 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.